You know, that leaves a bad taste in my mouth that the Browns, man, the Browns are the last team to beat us in the AFC North, and now they have done it consecutively. 2 straight games. They have beaten the Steelers. Last year, the only team to beat us in the AFC North, and now they are the first team in the AFC North to beat us this season. Both of them in Cleveland. An area, by the way, that the Steelers owned for how many years under Big Ben? I know that was Big Ben, but even still, what a despicable performance tonight by the team, man. An absolute total team collapse. And I'm talking offense, I'm talking defense, and I'm absolutely talking coaching. There was 0 positive takeaway from this game. 0.
All of it led to the Steelers losing their 3rd straight game this year and a 3rd straight game in Cleveland.
Well, 3rd game this year and 3rd straight in Cleveland.
That's what I meant. 3rd game this year, 3rd straight in Cleveland.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
They were winning. They were on a 5-game win streak, and now that is ended tonight.
It's not the first time the Browns did it either. They did it against the Ravens like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Like, yeah, the Browns were 2-8. Now they're 3-8 after this game, right? They shouldn't have gone into this game thinking them lightly, taking them lightly. They should have treated them like a legitimate threat, because just like the Steelers, they beat the Ravens. The Browns beat the Ravens. This is AFC North football. And they went in there and they played down. The team played down. They absolutely underestimated the Browns, bro.
Now, I didn't expect a blowout. Far from it, because despite how the Browns look and what they're dealing with the injuries and a backup quarterback in for them for the rest of the season, the fact of the matter is that they are an AFC North rival, and it's always going to be gritty and down to the wire. That's just the way AFC North football always is.
That's what this was. Especially with the weather. The snowy weather towards the second half of the game, it got crazy out there.
The snow, the wind, the slippery surface out there is just, that played, a factor as well. That played an effect a part of this game. And just the look of it as well. Like, when's the last time we've seen a game like this, Steeler-wise, with snowy weather just coming down the way it did? But
even before the snow came down, I mean, there were mishaps from the Steelers. First of all, in the first quarter alone, but throughout the first 3 quarters, I mean, throughout the whole game in general, but we're going to ponder on the first 3 quarters to start this off. In the first quarter, man, I guess this really set the tone of just what kind of game we were going to get tonight. Chris Boswell, maybe the wind played an effect on it, but Chris Boswell, of all people, missed a 58-yard field goal. And then the next drive, they failed Steelers Nation with a 2.
We've got 2 words for you.
Tomlin slump. We know what we have with this team. This loss has to be a wake-up call for this team, man. They won 5 straight. They thought everything was good and dandy, and now they realize they're not as clean, they're not as polished as they thought they were. They got a lot of errors, they got a lot of mistakes they got to clean up on. Most of it is from the offense and them being able to sustain some solid drives and finish drives, the defense and what they're allowing in the secondary, and the coaching mishaps. We'll get into all that. But in the first quarter, Boz missed a 58-yard field goal, and I believe the very next drive, the Steelers failed a 4th and 2 conversion with Justin Fields.
And Justin Fields package, they tried to run with him, to which on their first drive, they actually tried. It was the same play design, too. The same exact play design that they were planning to run on the first drive. They didn't because of I believe it was a Browns penalty.
It was a Darnell Washington false start.
Oh, that's what it was. You're right.
I forget what down it was, but all I know is they brought in Justin Fields on the very first drive for a short yardage situation, and they lined up in the same formation as they did. They didn't get to run it the first drive, so they thought, 4th and 2, let's just run it back with that exact same formation, with the exact same receiver, Cordell Patterson, lined out wide.
And the Browns stopped it.
And the defense allowed the Browns to go down the field the next drive with 80 yards and 7 minutes, and it capped off with a Chubb touchdown. That wasn't long after that. In fact, Myles Garrett had 3 first-half sacks, including a strip sack, which was another Steelers offensive mishap. The Browns recovered. Not only that, they had 3 offensive penalties in the first half. I think they were all false starts.
From Darnell, and 2 from the Hayward brothers, Connor and Cam.
Like, that was all in the first half. It was just a rough first half by the team. In fact, they were down, I believe, 10-3 in the first half. They were down 1 score. The Steelers, man, they didn't get into the end zone until the 4th quarter. They didn't score a touchdown for 7 straight quarters. That's just how slow of a start this game was for the Steelers.
Not
man.
just slow of a start, but just how the offense is ran. You know, like they could get past the 50. Like when they're behind the 50, I mean, they can get the yardage, they can make the plays, they can make the deep throw to Calvin Austin, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth up the middle of the field. Fine, fine and dandy. But once they're past the middle of the field, they just stall. It's like
that was all.
It's like Arthur Smith does not know what to do after that.
He doesn't, because his red zone efficiency, his red zone play calling is trash. It really is. It is absolute horseshit. Swear jar. That was all in the first half. 3 offensive penalties, 4 sacks allowed, 3 of them coming from Myles Garrett, including a strip sack, a 4th and 2 failure, a missed field goal, and then to come out of the first half, Deshaun Elliott forced a fumble on Cedric Tillman, and the Steelers recovered. And what did the offense do? They responded with a 4th and short situation that they couldn't convert, and I believe they gave it to Warren.
They gave it to Warren instead of sneaking it. It was 4th and inches, and they decided to hand it to Warren.
Another 4th down incompletion, conversion.
To which, by the way, the Steelers' rushing offense just could not get anything going.
No.
They couldn't.
And then the only guy that could today was Warren, and I feel like they didn't feed him as much tonight. That led to no touchdowns from the Steelers in 7 quarters. Now, they finally ended up with a Jalen Warren touchdown, his first touchdown of the season, to put the Steelers close.
Yeah, and that was after Jameis Winston led the Browns to another touchdown drive, which led to him converting on a 4th and goal, running into the end zone, and a 2-point try, connecting with David Njoku in the end zone.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because, before that happened, the Browns were up 18-6. And then the Steelers, man, and this is where I give them some credit, they responded with some resiliency. They responded with a Jalen Warren touchdown, their first touchdown in 7 quarters to keep it close. And then the very next drive, Nick Herbig gets a strip sack. He forces the fumble on his birthday. The only sack that the Steelers got tonight against the worst offensive line that has allowed the most sacks heading into this game with 46. The only sack forced by Nick Herbig tonight, and it was recovered by Elliott. And the Steelers, man, they responded with a Calvin Austin touchdown, excuse me.
And
right there,
they took the lead. They were up 19-18, and the Steelers, they tried for a 2-point conversion. What was the play call, you ask? They aligned Cordell Patterson, who is our 3rd-string running back. They lined him outside, 1-on-1, and they had him as the primary and only read for Russell Wilson to sling it to. 2-point try failed.
Yeah, because they were up 19-18, and if they would have converted on that 2-point conversion, look at the final score. That would have given the Steelers, a better chance of allowing Boz to take it to overtime. Instead, the play call is let's toss it up to Cordero Patterson, not George Pickens, not Mike Williams, not even Darnell Washington
or Pat Freiermuth.
No, let's do it. Let's toss it up to Patterson.
Because he's an Arthur Smith guy, right?
This was just one of the many coaching errors in tonight's game. One of the many. And by the way, this was Arthur Smith's worst called game since being the offensive coordinator. Awful. Awful, awful. Most of the game was very predictable. And it's just ugly. No excitement, no creativity. It was just basic for the most part.
It wasn't hard for the Browns today. It was not really a challenge for them.
He made it very easy for the Browns defense. Very easy.
Let's be real here.
So the Steelers were down 18-6 with what I think was like 12 minutes left in the game, and then 6 minutes they take the lead back. And I believe Dante Jackson got a pick shortly after that.
Yeah.
And then the Steelers are left with a 3rd and short or 3rd down situation. They bring in Justin Fields again. Justin Fields saw a lot of packages today. They brought Justin Fields in again. And they go deep for George Pickens. Now, me personally, I thought it was DPI.
If you're not down with that,
Billy Maher with 199.
we've got 2 words for you.
We lost because the Browns were more physical. You're not wrong. The Browns outplayed us. The Browns outcoached us. The Browns outplayed us. But on a 3rd down, all they had to do was get the yardage necessary to kill the clock. They're up. They have the lead. It's 3rd down. All they got to do is get enough yardage to
keep the drive going
and kill the clock.
Control the game.
Instead, they go deep, which I don't hate. I get going for the kill shot, but you got to play smart. Instead, they go deep for Pickens, and the ball was there by Fields. I personally thought Emerson had DPI. He was tugging at Pickens' arms, both of them, and they didn't call it. But here's the thing. Here's the tricker. Here's where it came down to the most mind-boggling situation for the Steelers.
Which basically was the kill for them, right? Really.
The Browns were third and 2. They had a 3rd and 2 situation, and the Steelers ran a linebacker blitz with Patrick Queen, and he was all up in Jameis Winston's face to the point Winston threw it to his offensive lineman. He threw it to his center. Now, I think a lot of people would agree, he was inside the pocket. There was not a single receiver in the area. That is textbook intentional grounding. The refs did not call it intentional grounding. Instead, they called it illegal touching by the center. That should have been intentional grounding because, correct me if I'm wrong, that takes them back. That takes the ball back where the penalty was committed by Winston, and that's a loss of down, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. All I know is wherever the penalty is committed, that takes them back, which is a lot farther than what it eventually got.
We've got 2
Ryan
words
Conley with it
for
too.
you.
It's the weather and the noise, and you know who. It's a lot of things, man. The weather definitely played an effect.
No, but the penalty, illegal touching, whatever, right? The thing about that was, initially Tomlin declined it. Initially, the referees ruled that it was a decline. Therefore, it would have been 4th and 2.
And the Browns were going to go for it.
But then all of a sudden, Tomlin changes his mind and then accepts the penalty, which took him back 5 yards, and it resets the 3rd down, making it a 3rd and 7.
So they not only give him, theoretically, two chances to get a first down again. The worst part of it is he calls a timeout after accepting the penalty.
And the Steelers, they had 1 timeout after that. They had 1.
So, first of all, the penalty shouldn't have been illegal touching. It should have been intentional grounding, first of all. But in the grand scheme of everything, the refs called illegal touching by the center. He accepted the 5-yard penalty, and he takes a timeout. And what do the Browns do? They get their only 3rd down conversion of the night by hitting Jerry Jeudy because JPJ has been getting cooked the last number of weeks.
JPJ looked awful
What
tonight.
a mess.
JPJ looked awful tonight.
What a fucking mess. And that wasn't his only timeout called in the second half. That was his second timeout called because he called his first timeout in the second half in the 3rd quarter with less than 5 minutes left on a 4th and 1 situation, which was the first and only 4th and 1 situation that still is made tonight because they went 1 of 3 tonight, and they still settled for 3 points on that drive. So it's like that timeout was wasted anyway if you're only going to settle for 3. So he wasted 2 timeouts. 2 timeouts that could have played a massive part towards the end of this game. This is the worst Tomlin game management, worst Tomlin clock management of his entire career.
And I want to throw back to before halftime. If you remember, the Steelers stopped the Browns on a 2nd and 13. Therefore, after that, Tomlin called time out for the Steelers. Steelers had called their second time. Yeah, but I believe it was their second timeout.
Yeah.
After that, the Browns ran the play. They failed the 3rd down. They were preparing for a field goal. They had about 127, maybe 125 left to go in the 2nd quarter. Tomlin immediately did not call timeout. He never called timeout at all.
No.
He let the play clock go all the way down until the Browns called timeout to prepare for a field goal, which they converted. They made the field goal. And then that left Tomlin and the Steelers offense and Russell Wilson have only 40 seconds left, pinned deep. They had no time. They had 1 timeout and no time, and that ultimately ended in a Myles Garrett sack.
Yeah.
Why would you not, in that predicament before halftime, knowing that the Browns started the freaking second quarter, or second half, I should say, with the ball, why would you not give Russ and the offense much more time to get extra points on the board?
Yeah, instead of taking the timeout, he lets the clock drain and have 40 seconds and 1 timeout rather than 70 seconds and no timeouts. I would take more time rather than less time in a timeout.
But no, Tomlin didn't do that.
So that's not the first time that happened tonight. It's just awful clock management, which has always been a Tomlin thing. Him and his stupid challenges. It's just a Mike Tomlin thing. And it definitely came into effect and why the Steelers lost. And that factor, I put this loss on Tomlin. I put this loss on coaching mostly because the time management, the clock management by Tomlin was rough. Arthur Smith had his worst called game as Steelers OC so far. And Terrell Austin and his defense just comes unprepared against lackluster offenses. It's been a thing since the Colts game. And the Steelers, man, it's like they had the lead. They were up 19 18.
They had all the
And they
momentum in the
couldn't
world.
close it out.
They had, after that Dante Jackson interception where they had the lead, they had all the momentum, and they could not
couldn't-
figure out how to close it.
They couldn't get a first down.
No. They had trouble getting a yard, bro. Dude, they failed 2 fourth down conversions. They had how many penalties on offense that hurt them? Plenty of miscues on that offense. The defense, man, couldn't stop anything, couldn't have pressure. Secondary just getting scorched by Jameis freaking Winston.
Yeah. Jameis
Fourth
Winston.
down defense, I swear to God.
Dude, like I said, the Browns, man, up until that 3rd and 7 situation after Tomlin called his second timeout, they didn't have a single third down conversion up until that one. They were perfect 4 for 4 on 4th down. The Browns were. That's inexcusable. That's why I say this is a complete total team loss. I don't put it on one really single guy, but it's a complete team loss.
A failure.
They all came unprepared. They absolutely slept on the Browns. And listen, it's a divisional matchup. It's AFC North football. Even the Browns beat the Ravens. That's why they couldn't. That's why they shouldn't have went into Cleveland and underestimated them. They should have went in there and treated them like a threat. And I'll give the Steelers this. They showed some fight. They showed resiliency. They came back from a 2-score deficit. The problem is they couldn't withstand it. They couldn't hold it. They did it in the most complicated fashion. Well, they tried doing it in the most complicated fashion. It's a complete team loss, man. Russ, 270, 1 touchdown. Warren, 45 yards, a touchdown. Calvin Austin had a great game. 3 catches, 78 yards, a touchdown. Frymuth had maybe one of his better games. 4 catches, 59 yards. Pickens, 4 catches, 48 yards. Should have had more. I don't think he saw enough targets. Jerry Jeudy, 6 catches, 85 yards. We couldn't stop him. No one could cover him.
Couldn't stop a backup tight end and Jordan Atkins.
Nick Chubb, 2 touchdowns.
Blake Whiteheart, I never heard of this guy in my life. He caught a 29-yard pass, which played a huge factor in the Winston rushing touchdown drive.
Only 1 sack from Nick Herbig. TJ Watt didn't do anything.
0.
He might have had a tackle for loss on Chubb. That's it. He was non-existent tonight. I don't know where he was. I know the Browns were chipping the hell out of him, but he was non-existent tonight. Completely empty.
And this is a game
Very rarely did you hear TJ Watt's name.
This is a game where the Steelers beat the Browns in total yardage, time of possession. The Browns had more penalties. They had 3 turnovers. They only converted 1 third down.
Yep.
And the Browns still found a way to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
Inexcusable. I'm sorry.
Just a sad night, guys. It's just a depressing night because the first 3 quarters was a nightmare. A complete
If
nightmare.
you're not down
John
with that,
Walker, the real
we've
captain.
got 2 words for
$4.99.
you.
Anyone tired of the same shit every year? I've been a fan since 03. The last 10 years, we just proved we're frauds repeatedly. I don't know how much more I can take. I feel you. I said the same thing after the Cowboys game.
And John, that's always been my fear. It's always my fear at the end of every season.
Every single season, I always fear this is going to be the same season every year. I said it.
SOS. It's same old Steelers, right?
I said it.
That's my fear.
I said it after the Cowboys game, and ever since the Cowboys game, they've won 5 straight. Excuse me. Now they've lost. This just might be what they need, man. They need to get a good look in the mirror. You're not invincible. You've won 5 straight. Congratulations. You might still stand first place in the AFC North by the end of Sunday, but listen, you got problems.
Massive.
You got problems.
Some of them were even evident with the wins that they were getting.
This team is too inconsistent in a lot of areas, and the defense is allowing a lot to insignificant offenses. And the offense can't get in the end zone as often as they should. They can't finish in the red zone. And tonight, clearly, they couldn't get down there far enough.
No. And those problems, even with the 5 straight wins.
If you're not down with that, we've got 2
Jason
words
Atkins with
for
2.
you.
No, Minka has been completely absent this year. He's been off for the last 2 games, man. He's been getting smoked in coverage by the tight ends.
Yeah. But the problems that
The
this team has
secondary in
had.
general is just...
But the problems that this team has had offensively and defensively, all the problems that they've had, even with the wins, it just continued to pile up. And the Steelers just
swept under the rug.
They swept on. They just never really resolved those problems. And ultimately, it just piled up to a point where it really hurt us.
No, yeah, because it all caught up in the end tonight. It led to our 3rd loss of the season. We needed this win because all the divisional matchups are very important, and we still got 2 more ahead of us before we get the final 2 towards the end of the season. This was a very important win. and they lost. They tried. They tried to come back. I'll give them that. But they couldn't hold the lead, bro. They allowed too many mistakes. The defense couldn't hold. The defense was trash today, bro. After an amazing performance versus the Ravens, they go right back to where they failed. It's just poor, man. Very poor performance, man.
You could say it was against a division rival despite their record and the way they look. You could say it was a short week and whatnot. But this is the NFL. And if you're not fully prepared for every game, if you don't have the right game plan, the right game management, the right focus for any game despite the competition, this is exactly what happens right here.
Kia Adams in the chat says one and done. Get ready. Same old Steelers, right? I hope not, man. This team, bro, this team, I get a different feeling with this team. I do. I want to see them make a push, but they got to be better from every aspect, man. They got to be better in a lot of ways, and I'm hoping this opens their eyes, and I'm hoping this doesn't lead to a losing streak.
That's all we can hope for.
If you're not down with that, we've got
John Walker,
words
excuse me.
for you.
How do we win time of possession, yards, turnover battle, and lose? That's the Steelers' way. The standard is the standard. Just how it is sometimes, man. It's unfortunate. I hope this doesn't lead to a losing streak for the Steelers, and I'm hoping that with the mini bye they have, that they can look themselves in the mirror and realize we're not as perfect as we thought we were. We're not as invincible as we think we are. You guys got to wake up. You got to clean up these errors.
Everybody,
man.
the players, the coaches, Mike Tomlin, they just like...
It's just one of those losses this year. I don't know how many more we're going to get. I'm hoping it's just one of those losses where the Steelers went in, they underestimated, and they fell for the trap. I'm hoping it's one of those games that they went in, and maybe it's the divisional aspect of it. It's just one of those things where they go in and they clean up the mistakes. I'm trying to give them the benefit because I really do think this team is just different this year. I get a different mindset with this team, but I do get similar vibes from previous years when they make similar mistakes that we've seen in years past. That can't be no more. We can't be seeing this shit, man. With a backup quarterback, they lose to the Browns for a second straight time in Cleveland to another backup quarterback. That's just awful. Who has no receivers? I guess he has Judy now. He's been killing it the last two weeks.
I just hope with this loss that it does not lead to a bad streak of games for the Steelers.
Me neither. Otherwise, this would be 2020 all over again.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
Me neither.
I know what this talent possesses. I know the talent that they have, the potential that they could reach. They have to reach it. I know the capabilities of this team. I want to see it flash out. I want to see them go out there and perform.
We have seen it.
And if they have games like this, it's just going to harm them. It's going to hurt them. It's just going to be one of them SOS seasons again. I don't want to see that. I feel like I've seen more than enough of that already. I don't want to see it.
Me neither.
All I ask is that you just go on this mini bye, per se, and just clean up your mistakes. Seriously, have this be the wake-up call. Losing to a 3-8 now Cleveland Browns with the problems that they're dealing with this season, it's got to be a wake-up call. If this ain't, then I don't know what will be. Just please fix your issues.
It's got to be this one, man. It's got to be this one.
We've got 2 words
John Walker,
for you.
another one. Appreciate you, man. 499. Dude, you know what the sad part is? Earlier this week, I was thinking about a path to the Super Bowl, and legit got emotional thinking of it. Now I just don't know. You know, I dream. First of all, I dream of a playoff win. It's been a minute, and that's why I feel good about this team. Is like I think they can finally give us that playoff win feel again. It's been a long drought, the longest we've had since before Franco pulled off the Immaculate Reception. But you know, mistakes like this can't keep it curing, especially when we got 4 more divisional matchups plus elite teams in the Eagles and the Chiefs. Arguably elite teams.
If they keep letting these problems pile on, it's just going to get worse.
Well, that's why maybe a loss like this is a blessing in disguise.
If anything.
I'm not going to overreact about this loss, but I feel very depressed. I feel sad. I feel very upset. It was a roller coaster ride, man. Because I stayed in this game, bro. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I stayed in this game. When they were down 18-6, I'm like, it's not over. There's still a lot of time. There's 12 minutes left, and they got the lead back in 6 of those minutes because they came back from a 10-point deficit versus the Commanders. They came back versus the Ravens, and they didn't allow them to get the lead back. That's the feeling I get with this team, that it's different. And they gave me that feeling again, like they brought it back. We just got to close it out, and they did it. They did it. Too many mistakes, too many mishaps from all 4 quarters, from all phases, from everybody. It all caught up to us. That's where this game needs to be the wake-up call. That's where this game needs to light a fire under them and let them know, hey, you guys aren't so perfect. You guys aren't as good as you think you are. It's time to step it up, right? I hope so, man. They got 10 days now, which is a good thing. It could be what they need to get healthy. We might get Alex Highsmith back. They can clean up on some things. Extra days to rest, extra days to prepare for the Bengals. We got the Bengals, man. We got Burrow. We got Chase. We're lighting the league up right now.
Yep.
We need to get prepared for that. JPJ needs to get prepared for that.
It's time to get back to work. It's time to get back in the film room. It's time to get back on the practice field. It's time to get to work. Real shit this time.
Yeah. I'm not overreacting about this loss yet. If it leads to a string of losses, then yeah, we can say that, yeah, this was the start of a string of a downfall. I'm not there yet. I'm not going to overreact about it yet. But I am very upset and very depressed and very disappointed from the Steelers, man. But hopefully it's just one of those games where they went in, they played down, they lost, they tried, but they failed, and they can step up the next couple weeks.
We'll see what happens.
I hope so, man. I'm hoping this team gives me a good feeling going into the Bengals. But God, they got to improve on the defense. They got to improve in the secondary. And God, this offense needs to wake up, bro. This offense needs something. Seriously. With that being said, man, let us know your guys' thoughts down below. How you guys feel about the Steelers versus Browns game? What do you guys think needs to change about the team? Where do you think the errors lie? Who do you blame this loss on? I blame it from all 3 phases, but if I had to give the most blame to, I would say it's probably the coaching from all 3 phases.
Tomlin and Smith for sure.
But it starts with Tomlin and Smith. Absolutely. Absolutely. I just hope this loss doesn't spoil the season for us. That's my fear. I'm trying to give this team hope, man. I'm trying to remain optimistic. Let us know your guys' thoughts. Here we go, Steelers, at the end of the day. Let's enjoy this mini bye. John Walker, one more time.
If you're not down with that, we've got 2 words for
Dan
you.
Orlovsky is the happiest man on the planet. Didn't he take the Browns in his didn't he take the Browns or something?
I don't know, but he can take himself out of bounds for real this time.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that's it. So, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace.